Welcome.
It really whips the llama's ass.
You've got mail. You got mail. You've got pictures. Goodbye.
Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new show that we're debuting here on the Extra Life stream that we're calling simply the Stalg. We're of course live on Extra Life Game Day, which is a day for playing video games, but also to break up the monotony, we're going to be sprinkling in little shows here and there as the day goes on. And for today, I thought we would try out this new show that I've really been wanting to do for quite a while now, and that is just a show to talk about the ancient internet, basically. We'll get into this, but I got the internet kind of late, and it was always kind of like a wild and crazy idea to me that there was just so much at the fingertips whenever I got to use it. And so I've always been fascinated with it, and I've been very online from day one. So I'm really excited to talk to a bunch of people about what their experiences are with the internet and what their memories are. And so I thought I'd start our whole show about it. So welcome to the Stalg. We have some special guests, friends of mine, who are coming on to talk about some things. And the way I'm going to do this show, I think, at least for now, is we're going to ask a couple of questions of our guests and then see kind of what happens as we go along. So it's a chat show. We're all going to reminisce about the internet from the late 90s, early 2000s. But to keep some structure, I'm going to have guests answer these basic questions. What's your internet history? When did you get it? What are the earliest websites that you remember frequenting, etc.? How about your all-time favorite internet thing? Basically, what you can go on and on about that may be forgotten to most people's memories, like a hamster dance or something, more niche than that. And I think a brunt of the show's conversation will come from, hey, do you remember this? And then finally, this is kind of an optional thing, but I thought would be fun. Is there anything on the internet that you believe is lost? It's gone. You haven't seen it in years. And if so, can we find it? Can we find some mention of it? Can we hunt down some breadcrumbs and see? Can we visit the Internet Archive? We're going to find out. So that's basically the long and short of the show. I'm pretty excited to get into it. Yes, Klon, we do not have a donate button because I'm bad at the internet. But yeah, you can donate at hold on, I got this. bit.ly/extra. I don't remember. Hold on. Yeah, before we get into the actual show, let me do my due diligence here and get at least the donation stuff out of the way. Hey, we're donating for Extra Life. That is a 25-hour gaming marathon, and all day long we're going to be doing this till 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So if you have a couple of bucks to donate, please head to bit.ly/extragerm2023 or scan this handy QR code here. And we'll be checking on that a little later and updating the donor list at the bottom after this show. But for now, let's get into some internet history. So to get into it with us today, we're going to introduce a couple of people. First of all, this is an old friend of mine. He is one of the most online people that I know. I think everything I've ever known from this gentleman has been, in the online world, and I'm always excited to see what he's doing. He's got a plethora of podcasts in the world. One of my favorite is the Weird Al-Gorithm podcast, which is a deep dive into the works of Weird Al Yankovic. It's exactly what it sounds like, and it's exactly as delightful as it sounds like. Please welcome the very knowledgeable on all things internet, Mr. Matt Kelly, Saint Mort himself.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, you sound great. I love
Thank
having
you.
podcasters on. Today is a podcaster heavy episode, so we get the good audio. How you doing?
I am doing really, really well. This is very exciting. Great job here. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm supposed to look.
Yeah,
It's the one thing I've never cracked in StreamYard is I feel like I'm just looking around me as if I'm surrounded by ghosts.
Yeah, it's a big Starship Enterprise level of buttons and stuff around. So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. We met, a long time ago at a Halloween party.
You were dressed as the Fairly Odd Parents. I was dressed as a Doodle Bear.
Doodle Bear, white t-shirt adorned with markers that you then take and draw. And by the end of the night, I mean, you were covered. Do you still have that shirt anywhere?
I do. I have it in my
Excellent.
closet. I never washed it. It's just covered in penises.
There's a clip. There's a clip to start the show off. Thank you for being here. I'll be sure to plug all this at the end. But you have a network of podcasts that you work on. I just picked for this audience, I think the most enticing one out of the air. But you do everything. You talk about everything.
I host 6 weekly podcasts and I produce 10 additional shows. And then I run the entire Geekscape network's extensive 20-something shows, and it's a lot.
You have a lot of free time.
I took the podcasting like a fish to water. It was really weird.
Yes, so far, here's something. So far, the only podcast that officially has Eric Germ on it is a Saint Mort podcast.
Yeah, the Saint Mort show.
Saint Mort show. Eric Germ podcast.
That's going to change in 2024. I think we need to get you on Weird Algorithm sooner rather than later. We actually, out of nowhere, we just booked a guest yesterday who wrote a book called Weird Al Seriously. That's like a deep dive into the more sincere, the sincerity of Al's parodies.
Yes.
So she's going to be joining us to talk about, of all songs, Taco Grande.
I love Taco Grande.
I do love Taco Grande. But yeah, it's been fun. I mean, we got to have Paul Scheer on, which is the craziest thing that's ever happened in my entire life.
So a lot of the people that I'm online buddies with, I met through the Chris Gethard Discord, and we're kind of a sister Discord to the Paul Scheer Discord. And he is just a delightful man on and off the camera. He's just great.
We're in conversations with 3 or 4 guests. I don't want to say anything for sure in case it falls through, but let's say that one of these people is the god of podcasting and anti-comedy and has been involved in Mr. Show and a ton of other stuff. So to have them come and talk Al with us is going to be one of the coolest experiences of our lives. But yeah, I saw someone asked about Dog Eat Dog. No one wanted to do Dog Eat Dog with us. We ended up having to do that one as a solo episode because that song rules. That song's incredible. But yeah, it's been really interesting covering doing that. I mean, seasonally right now, the Christmas 365 podcast usually starts to pop off, the all year round Christmas show. That I do. So, man, yeah, we've known each other.
I want to say
think it's been 17 years.
Yeah, something like that. So it's a long. And so when I was thinking of who am I going to talk to about the ancient internet, yours was at the top of my list.
Which is
thank you for being here.
Yeah, we've talked nostalgia a lot. I know that we've talked
every time we get together. I think we talk nostalgia.
We talk Goosebumps. We talk Animorphs, but I don't think we've ever talked early internet. So this is a really exciting conversation.
I'm pretty jazzed about it. And somebody else I know who is extremely jazzed about it. She is another prominent podcaster in my life, and you can hear her on Not a Hatewatch with Alice, and also RedSharts with another guest who I'm sure we'll talk about. And then you can catch her pretty much every Wednesday night on the Missed Calls with the Former Randoms Twitch streaming show on Radio Free Multiverse. You know who I'm talking about. It's Missi Information.
I have 2 podcasts and I'm exhausted, and here I am hearing about someone running more. I am just, what am I doing here? This is so fantastic. And early internet memories involving Weird Al. We can't. This is not a Weird Al show. We cannot get into it. But this is a wonderful meeting of people here. I'm so glad to meet you, Matt.
I feel like a spoiler alert is that all of us have had experiences downloading songs we thought were by Weird Al.
That's exactly. I literally almost submitted that as my topic. I thought my entire topic. I'm like, no, that's too niche. No one wants to hear me go on talking about not the official Weird Al list and his website that had all the ones and even had a list of all the not Weird Al songs that were out there. And you could just look and be like, not. Yep, that is early internet for me.
Already, this show has accomplished everything in my mind that I thought. It's the exact. I mean, it's Weird Al. And anytime you had a parody, a punk cover was always either Blink-182 or Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, even if it wasn't them. Or interesting, like strangely enough, Newfound Glory, who had exactly one cover album of 5 songs. And so everybody just associated, well, if it's a cover song, if it's a punk cover song, it's Newfound Glory.
There's songs that I still to this day, like, thank God for Shazam, because I finally have been able to like look through some of the songs that I download and be like, who was this anyway?
Right.
And the Blink-182 did not do Phantom of the Opera, but somebody did, and then later I found out it was Me First. It's usually Me First. My
favorite one was that there was this awesome ska cover of the Scooby-Doo sound theme song, and when I finally Shazammed it.
Was it Weezer?
No, well, it was probably listed as Weezer. When I Shazammed it, the band's name was the Jinkies, which I was like, oh man, is this the only song that they did?
God. Yeah. Oh man. I'm excited to really dig into this. I'm also being bad about comments. So
is the Jinkies a proposed fictional band made up of the Scooby Gang, much like the Archies is a fictional band made up of the comic book characters from the Archies?
I'll tell you that if I went to see a band called the Jinkies live and they weren't dressed like the Scooby Gang, I would be very disappointed.
I would walk out. I
would be too.
I'd buy some merch and then I'd be out of the way because, you got to chuck them a couple of bucks.
I'll fight with people to this day that still think that System of the Down did that Zelda song. Like, people are willing to die on that incorrect hill.
Yeah. Well, it's what we had. It's what we knew. And hey, listen, speaking of internet people, 2 of my favorite internet people, they are the owners and proprietors of Radio Free Multiverse and everything that comes with that. They are 2 very good friends and 2 people I love talking to about any kind of nonsense. It's Radio Free Multiverse, Forrest and Emily.
Hello.
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 I love that you brought up the not Weird Al songs, though. That's how I discovered so many bands.
Yeah.
Like, I was introduced to Richard Cheese that way. All his stuff got mislabeled.
Yeah. Yep.
Some show I listened to, I don't remember which one, had Weird Al Yankovic versus Weird Al Yankovic.
Yep.
And if it was Yankovic, it was wrong.
Yeah.
Almost always, because those effers didn't know how to spell his name. Of course, they're not going to attribute it.
Well,
Weenie the Bottle was a big
My
one, too.
actual last name is kind of close to how Weird Al Yankovic spells his name, and so growing up, I was like, I feel you. I get you, weird.
I think
Weird Albert.
The biggest not Al song I discovered that I truly thought was by him was Livin' La Vida Yoda, because he had other stuff, and it sounded enough like him. Like, some of them didn't even sound like Weird Al. So it's sort of like, I even knew, like, I would be talking to my friends, do you think that sounds like him? Because it doesn't, and if you do, then you're wrong.
There's a couple. I was so into Al at all times. I always was like, there's no way. Like there was very few that I actually thought were, and also some of them were just like I don't even want to say the names of some of them because they were so mean-spirited and cruel in a way that Al would never be.
There was an Ugly
That's
Girl
not what he does.
song that was really bad and had like bad word, like slurs in it and stuff. And I was like, why would you even want Weird Al to be the singer of this? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, he's not. That's not what he's about. You don't. Yeah.
It's not really internet, but did anyone know Weird Al as a TV show host before they knew he did albums of music? Because that's how I discovered him.
No, but I did love the Al TV.
Yeah, from his. Not Al TV. His kids' morning show.
The Weird Al show.
On Saturday morning, the Weird Al show.
Yes.
I know that this isn't early internet, but I'm just curious. I think just like quick age check for all of us. Like, first Weird Al album. Is it all Bad Hair Day across the board for all of us? Was that like our
Greatest
discovery?
Hits?
Bad Hair Day and Running with
Greatest Hits
Scissors.
Volume 2.
Oh, my first one I owned was Greatest Hits Volume 2. Sorry.
Is that the one with the I forget what was on it, but it's just like a single, like colorful picture of Al in the middle of it.
It's a Andy Warhol.
That's okay. Yes, then that's the one I had. I got that and the Food album and a boombox for my 14th birthday. That was
one of the most common things that we found on the podcast is like the amount of people who are like, they bought like the essentials or like the Food album or the TV album first. And I was just like, I heard Amish Paradise. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's a genius. And I just like immediately started buying everything that I could find from him. Because for a very brief period, and this was dangerous for me, for a very brief period, there was a Sam Goody used CD store directly behind my house. Like, like near my house, like my house,
your backyard,
house, Sam Goody. And I just would walk in there with like whatever allowance I had and would just buy like 4 or 5 CDs off the rack, and whatever I was obsessed with from the box ended up being like, oh, gonna see what the Suicide Machines album sounds like.
For our younger audience, CDs or compact discs were about yay big, and you could get AOL.
Like this.
You could get AOL on them and take them from the Blockbuster and throw them all over the parking lot.
Well, and then there were enhanced CDs.
Well,
which had videos on them
and mini discs too. Did everyone remember how the Running with Scissors CD had an entire documentary on it? We're not talking internet anymore. We're not talking internet.
Yes.
This is not a Weird Al show.
I mean, it's an element of internet though, because
it
like
is true.
Yeah,
because like think about this. I remember hearing someone else bring this up on a completely different podcast, but it's true that we got really angry maybe like 10 years ago when U2 put an entire album on all of our phones collectively.
Oh yeah.
But let us not forget that when you bought a Windows 95 computer, it came with the Buddy Holly music video just there for no reason.
And we loved it.
Then didn't XP come with a Brian Emo, song or something? Yeah, it was really weird.
King Klons,
every program had like 2 or 3 free things.
Save it for a future episode because this is my no. I'm sorry, I'm talking about King Klon. Rabbit Hole is really what I want this show to really eventually just turn into. Is a rabbit hole. Keep talking, Al. God, I could talk all day about Weird Al. It was my earliest love. That
definitely one of my
Ladies
first
were my first CDs.
Very compatible bands too, musically.
And I was thinking, I judge when my early internet. That's my early internet is when the Saga Begins was released. Mm-hmm. I remember going to StarWars.com. I could finally get on the internet and stuff because we had before that something like, I think it was Yahoo Kids. It was like, this is like late 90s internet before that sort of transition. And so that's what my family had because we raised very conservative family. And so they wanted the internet as a tool. So we had like internet filters and they had like kids stuff set up. But like that was when I could get onto then the sort of wild west of the internet within our little safe time. Yep. And I could just go to like websites and stuff. I just remember being able to,
it was the wild west back then. Like in every sense of the word.
The idea that at like 12 years old, there was nothing keeping me from visiting a website like rotten.com and seeing stuff that is still like living rent-free in my brain in the worst kind of ways.
It's just sat there and stagnated.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that this was like okay. Yeah. And I think I heard someone talk about this on a podcast recently where they're like, I think this generation is like not interested in that. The way that for whatever reason in like the early age of the internet, it literally just be like, hey, I got like, I hate saying this. This feels like an awful thing to say on a charity stream, but like the first time you heard like, oh, you can download a beheading video. And I was like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to watch it. And then halfway through it being like, why did I do this? Like what joy, like what did I expect this video to be, but exactly what it was.
And that's what it was. And there was very, like, I remember rotten.com, the front page was just like, I don't know, like a drawing of like a corpse or something like that. And like, there wasn't much more to go on. Oops.
Rotten.com is like the faces of death for that generation.
Exactly what it is. Yep. It was the faces of death of the internet.
I was going to say earlier, I didn't want to get too dark, but I'm like, no beheading videos I've seen. I managed to avoid all those.
Yeah. Good.
I watched one and never again.
Well, listen, let's get into internet history real quick, and we'll start with Forrest and Emily. When did you get it? when did you get internet? Were you born, or did you just have it? Your family just got it, and it's always been a thing?
My family had it really early because my dad was really into computers and Photoshop and all that fun stuff. He was also a cop whose special interest was predatory behaviors on the internet. So I was not allowed anywhere near the internet for a very long time. My mom kept the parental controls on her AOL that I knew the password of. I knew she would ask me questions of whenever I needed to fix something with it. But if she were to catch that it wasn't on, even though it wouldn't let me look at websites for fucking homework, it would be a problem. So,
yeah,
I stayed offline and had it mediated through friends at school. And so I was able to avoid a lot of the more traumatizing stuff.
Good thing, because that's, I mean, we didn't need that as kids. I'm going to try my different layout here and see how it goes.
Oh, look at those smileys.
Oh, wow. There's some faces I forgot about.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten about it. Specifically the angry face. The angry was always my favorite.
Yeah.
No, I did the big toothy smile very often.
I just liked the one with the foot in its mouth, even though I rarely used it for when someone put their foot in their mouth.
Oh, is
I
that
also didn't think that the
bringing
sexy
up
smiley face was that sexy.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like
Real
She's got
try
the beauty
hard.
mark, though.
I always thought the foot in the mouth was like snickering, like a hand, like.
I like the money mouth, money talks.
Oh my word!
I'm just
Look at
bringing up
those square
old
monitors.
setups
Yeah.
of what our internets would have looked like back then.
Yeah.
So I had to like do the mental math to try to work back to how old I was when I got the internet, because I know I didn't grow up with it. I know there was a time in which the switchover happened, but I was young enough that I don't remember the specific age. I was like very used to it by the time I was 11 in like 99.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, the internet, cool, I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing probably like 97 or so, because I also remember going to StarWars.com trying to find like Star Wars rumors, and I remember my dad posting something about waiting in line for the Phantom Menace for 3 days straight, which I was not allowed to do because my mom would not let me.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
Camping out on the
appreciate your dad,
streets
though.
for it. Yeah.
That's great. And was he satisfied with the 3 days that he waited after the fact?
He liked it. He liked it.
Okay.
He and my stepbrother were happy with it. They got
Good,
to see
good.
like in the best era time capsule, they got to see Austin Powers walk the line for the Phantom Menace.
Oh my
Which
god!
was just like a guy in costume. They saw
Sure.
Darth Maul and assumed it was a protester before they realized, oh no, Darth Maul just looks like the devil. That's just what he looks
God,
like.
he's I can't remember what his species is, but I'm sure you know.
He's that's changed a couple times.
Has it? Okay, that's what I
He
thought.
was
I
an
knew there were some
Iridonian
discrepancies.
Zabrak at first, but now he's a Night Brother, who are like the male version of the Night Sisters. It's a whole thing.
Very good. That's some good early internet. Matt, what about you? I know Matt's got a hard cutoff, so.
So the thing that I was trying to figure out is like, I don't think I can distinctly remember early internet. What I have more of a vivid memory of was just like first computers before we had internet access. So like a lot of my like nostalgia is like playing all of the games that was available on Windows 94. You know what I mean? Like playing Pipe Dream or like Chips Challenge or like any of those like early games. I would spend hours playing those games, and I would hear about this thing called the internet. And I remember at one point, one of my friends had the internet, and what he would do for me, which is crazy, is that there was a website that would tell you what we think Kenny McCormick was saying in every South Park episode. And after each new episode, he would print that out and give it to me at school so I could try to figure out what Kenny had said in that week's episode of South Park.
Amazing.
I mean, that's an early internet thing. Printing out. First of all, printing out.
See, printers for our younger audience.
Yeah. You could take an internet page and hold it in your hand?
We are the only people in our friend group who have a printer.
Yeah, we have one in the garage too for
I need one.
lockdown times.
I should have one for how much like We sell a lot of shirts on our website, and it would be nice to be able to just like print some shipping slips.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of standing in the post office waiting for them every single time. But
It builds character.
yeah, that's exactly it. It builds strength. You make new friends. You learn the names of all the people in the post office.
What about you, Missy? When did you get your hands on the internet?
Yeah, so it would have been, I think, around the same time that Forrest would have. It would have been late 90s, probably around 97 or 98. Maybe even a little bit earlier than that, but not really having much like I remember Netscape. Like that's like the first browser that exists, and maybe even proto Netscape. Like I think I remember my dad getting Netscape, but I don't remember what the browser would have been before that. But it was one of those things where that was just something like I wasn't interested enough, because at that point it was all just like boring adult things. They hadn't really done that much for kids yet on there until there were. And I don't remember, again, I just remember essentially being able to look up like facts and play little games, but none of them were like, it formulated in my head enough until we get to like, the late 99 to 2001 and that like transition era where, you're doing things like I remember watching ABC's One Saturday Morning, and they would have like internet games on their site. So like flash games like that. And then eventually finding things like I remember internet looking like that, but I wasn't using it at that point. I just remember, I was fascinated by computers, and like my dad loved computers too. Like he taught himself programming just to make his job more efficient. No one asked him to, he just did. So we had computers in the house all the time. So like Matt, I have also early like Windows 3.1 and Windows 95 nostalgia. Just from like messing around with that and all the DOS games and stuff that we had.
I feel like I remember being on like early message boards in middle school, and I forget like, and I'm like, just spitballing a name, but it would be like free teen chat board or whatever, and I'm like, man. In retrospect, that seems like a terrible place to be.
Yeah, AOL chat rooms. AOL chat rooms had names like that too.
Yeah, like it was just like, oh, cool. It's just me and other teens hanging out,
just a bunch of teens. Let's all chat. Let's all chat to our peers.
Possibly being here. There's no nefarious reason for anyone else to be hanging out in this.
Like we said, I mean, I think the thesis. The thesis of this show is the early internet was the Wild West, the Web 1.0.
Oh, yeah.
But I was such a good little Christian boy that I would just like want to just find information on that. I mean, that's why I'm sure I stumbled into Weird Al stuff, because I just was like, I could find lyrics online. You could like know what all the references were, and so I got like I didn't get half the jokes because it was all referential stuff, or I got half the jokes that people shouldn't my age get because they're all like TV Land references. So I'm like, I know that shit. I know old commercials and things, but then anything that was vaguely related to the culture at the time, I needed like research help, because 90s culture is a black hole for me, simply because the only culture that was for me was anything like contemporary Christian Disney, or just was like kind of on TV, but like music and stuff wasn't really a thing. So that's where like when Napster and all of those things were early on, I would go to my friend's house and like mess with it, because piracy was like a no-no, and so I wouldn't dare download that at mine. Excite.com was what my dad used too. My dad had an Excite.com email. So it was.
That's better than a legacy blue check mark. You got one of those. You can't get those anymore.
I don't know why this made me think of this, Missy, but because I grew up in a somewhat religious household, but mostly by me. I got really in high school. I was like really in on the tooth and nail like Christian punk and ska scene. So I'm reminded that being very sheltered, not knowing that words could have double meanings. When I got AOL Instant Messenger for the first time, I was very excited to make a screen name that expressed that I was both a Christian who liked ska music. So, of course, my handle was Skank for God. Years later, I look back on, I'm like, well, that was a real misfire. Matt Kelly.
Everyone was like, these are the people on the internet they warned me about.
people.
I mean,
and
it's like,
on freeteamboard.com.
you could be a scout.
Oh, God. Oh, that's incredible. An early Space Jam website. I remember going to that.
That's still up and running, right? Or did that like recently finally go down?
I think it recently
so.
finally got up.
I think
and
it might have
the
gone
new
down,
one.
and WB.
Is
But I
it
think
still?
WB took the original like HTML and just put it on their site. So it's not the true, but it's still they have not updated it.
That's the change. Until the new
Okay.
movie,
Yeah.
it was still at spacejam.com. You just landed at there, and it was mostly intact except for some broken images. But
Okay.
now it's like embedded in the site in like a subsection. This takes me back to
Well,
like,
our family was
part
a
of my-
late adopter. We didn't.
Oh yeah.
God, yeah. This is what web pages look like. I don't know if I can expand this any bigger.
I
But
mean, this
yeah,
isn't even
this
that
was it. It
long
was a
ago.
tiled.
I was gonna say this isn't even that long ago to bring up, but like even looking at, I get nostalgia for like old MySpace. Like looking at like pictures of what MySpace used to look like in MySpace notifications. I'm like, dear Lord, I miss this so bad.
And that was only like 2000.
So, I mean, I was in
to
college.
2000, I want to say 8 is when.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were late adopters, so I had friends whose houses I would go over, and they had the internet, so that's where we would look up Pokemon cheats, and then my cousin had it, and that's where we would find like music videos and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, if I could just get my hands on this. But much like I think it was Things from the Void in the comments said, he was a poor, so they would switch their internet providers. So like we were a poor. We didn't get it until I want to say 99. We were the last to get everything: microwave, VCR, DVD player. So once I got it, I was like, I'm going all in, and I'm never leaving. And I pretty much never did. We had AOL, I want to say 5.0. Which was the one we started. It might have been 4.0, but I remember it like peaked at 5.0, and then AOL 6.0 came out, and everything was kind of like polished and nice. And I was like, they lost it. They don't have it anymore.
So someone posted about watching movie trailers on QuickTime, and that just triggered a memory for me. This might be probably one of the sweetest memories I have of my dad, who's still alive. That sounded like he's not here anymore.
I was ready. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but so my dad would like, I'm not sure how many people here live on the East Coast or whatever, but my dad for many, many years had this side hustle where he would go to the Jersey Shore, and if you sat at any restaurant, there'd be these placemats that had like little ads for every like local restaurant, and he would go and build those. Basically, he would meet with all the different restaurants and like work out deals, but he'd be away for like a couple days every week. And I remember he called me, and this was in the dial-up internet days, called me because he had just saw the trailer for Dracula Dead and loving it, and he knew how much I loved Mel Brooks and Leslie Nielsen. And he called, and he's like, I just saw this trailer. You're going to love it. Here's the phone number for where you can reach me. Hang up the phone, log on, try to watch the trailer, and then call me and tell me what you thought of it. And like, he sat in his hotel room and probably had to wait like an hour and a half for like dial-up internet to download this 2-minute trailer for me to watch. And then like, I was like,
it was
9,
8 days.
like excitedly listening to this 9-year-old talk about a trailer that he had just watched.
That's incredible.
And the quality was garbage. I remember trying to download a Real Player video. Remember Real Player? Real ones remember Real Player.
I remember Real Player.
A Real Player video of, what was it? My Friends Over You by Newfound Glory. Their video had just come out. And I remember when I downloaded it, it took forever. And then I got like a blotchy, pixelated, every 5th frame rendition of the thing. And I was like, well, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is big. This was the window that popped up on AOL 3.0 when you first logged in, and you had like the kids only digital city. God, yeah. Somebody mentioned AOL 3.0, and yeah, I'm thinking that's what we started with too.
I don't think we were in AOL house, but I'm trying to think of
I
what
was thinking the
provider
same
would have been.
thing. I feel like I never really heard the you got mail message or anything, but I don't know what we used.
I think my dad had it very early on and then quickly switched because he didn't, for whatever reason, I'm sure he didn't like it.
Steph will
Yeah,
be on
I-
here at some point.
I probably
Sometime when I do it.
somewhere in this house because I moved in like 3 years ago and just took boxes of crap from my parents' house, and I think somewhere I still have a bunch of the free AOL.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, I
That's
can't throw these
great.
out. This is like gold.
Nope. You can't get them anymore.
Um,
And feel free, anybody, to just shout out your answer. But your all-time favorite internet thing. I know we've gotten into a little bit of it as we've just been general conversation, but something like the early internet. Like today, everybody checks Reddit, everybody checks Facebook, Twitter, all that. You have your websites. Back in early 2000s, it was an entirely different landscape of what you were checking. I was checking Albino Black Sheep because maybe he updated today. Newgrounds was getting updated every single day. What was the thing you kept returning to?
So I was thinking about this a lot when you sent me the questions in advance, and I cannot remember the source of this starting point, but it was either through the Bunny Films guys who would do like telling an entire movie in a minute with like animated rabbits, or it might have been through like Stick Death. It was through like one of those early Flash things. There was a side series of videos that they did that I watched religiously, and now this might also lead into the other question of like, what is media that you think is completely lost? But one of the animators, I think her name was Amy, they found her old diary from elementary school, and as a joke, just did like 30-second shorts of different diary entries where they read it like verbatim how she had written it. And it would be stuff like, "Dear Derry, I don't like Lewis. He is a meanie head." And it was like,
Oh, is that "You Make Me Touch Your Hands for Stupid Reasons," or is that something else?
that may be something else, but it was
I
like
think that's something
literally,
else.
it was so insane. Like, and I would just show it to people constantly, and I thought it was the funniest thing, and I have no clue if it even is anywhere to be found at this point in time. But I also, when I finally did get the internet, I do remember it was right when I was becoming a horror movie fan, so I was on badmovies.org and the video graveyard like all of the time, because they just provided like top tier. This might be it. Man, I forgot about Angry Alien Productions.
Wow. Yep. There's all. They're still making them.
Yeah, they may have, because it was like when they had.
Yeah, because I saw the date of. I saw the date of.
My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah, spring of 2020 was the conclusion of the second season. So I don't know if this is it, but I mean, Bunny Films, and these actually do look familiar to me, but I don't see any of the ones that I had seen back then. Reservoir Dogs, maybe.
Yeah, looking at this,
but, yeah,
I'm
this looks
almost
familiar.
confident it was them. I think it was Angry Alien Productions made those, but I bet they took it off because it was like, they probably were like, we're only getting people watching this from one specific home in Aston, Pennsylvania. Like, and no one else cares about this.
It just clicked with me. I absolutely watched these as well. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Memory unlocked. I need a memory unlocked drop because I feel like it's going to happen a lot. Forrest and Emily,
what do you got for your early internet? Early internet returns.
Early internet returns. I've been thinking of this. Mine was Quizlet.com, if anyone had been on there. It was like little quizzes you could take. That's like, what color
blank
are you?
Yeah. Quizlet.
Like,
now, that site still exists, but now it's flashcards. It's like if you're studying online, you upload your flashcards, and then somebody else studying the same thing. Quizilla.
That just unlocked for me because I kept messing it up. Quizilla was.
All right. The first link is Web Archive.
Self-publish. Self-publish
I'm gonna
quizzes.
Bring up Quizilla. Sorry.
And fan fiction, which I was also not allowed to read too much of because if my mom saw too much text on a screen, then she would get nervous.
Oh my word! Are you reading? Are you reading online again?
Yeah, like literally, it'd be like if there's no academic purpose, why are you doing it? If you can't explain it to me in one sentence, which is like, I'm finding out what color I am, and then she'd be like, You probably shouldn't be online. And I'd be like, fine.
It makes sense that Quizilla would be one of the early internet memories for someone who helps run a trivia show, who runs a trivia show now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Our
that's
guys
true.
attracted to you. Yep.
I totally remember this.
Yep.
In case it,
The
Unless
weird
you're gay.
Skype-like font on the left.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
put this in the private chat, but I did find the thing I was talking about, but it's because it's Adobe Flash Player, it won't play anymore. But it was Angry
Now-
Alien Productions, and it was Amy's diary. Amy found her third grade diary, and 10 entries have been painstakingly colored with crayon and narrated by experts to preserve the essence of her third grade.
Wow.
Wow.
That is so
Wow.
That's insane. I'm so glad that I remembered when you
Yeah.
pulled up that alien, that Angry Alien website. I was like, "Yep, that's the one. Them's the people who did it."
One of the things
All
that
right,
was
one
my
second,
like.
1 second.
Are you
Oh,
trying
you're
to
trying to
salvage
get
it?
to
Because I
work?
think it's dead.
I mean, if anyone's gonna salvage,
That's not
the
what we
Flash
do here
thing-
on the Stalg. Nothing is dead.
That's true. That's true.
All right,
Forrest, you were saying
here we
something?
go.
Yeah, one of
Yeah,
the-
I'm sorry. I'm
go.
sorry. I
Oh
cut you
no,
off.
no worries. The thing. Oh wait, did you get it working?
Look at all of us go.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. You just have like a Flash emulator program?
I have a Flash Player, Macromedia Flash Player 8, although it does not seem to be doing anything when I hit. Can I control? No, it doesn't.
Either way, that's
All right, hang.
that alone was like,
It
oh my god,
exists.
I have many memories of just watching those 10 videos
Yeah.
over and over again. They even included a picture of her from third grade.
That drawing.
Yeah,
is
so then you click. I
okay.
can get a Flash decompiler and see if there's anything on there. But yeah, the SWF file exists, and if you download Adobe Flash Player, you can still play the SWF file. So it
Wow.
exists, and it's probably salvageable.
And this is the guy who said that he was bad at the internet. I would have never gotten there. I would have just said, well, that's going forever, moving on with my life.
That drawing is gonna change what I was gonna say because that really reminds me of Teen Girl Squad.
Yep.
That's what I was gonna
Oh.
say. That drawing.
So my
and Home Star Runner
my
is one of mine.
entry for this episode, the thing that you kept coming back to, is Homestar Runner.
Oh,
is,
I thought about that, submitting that too. So that's great.
Yeah, so we can chat about Homestar Runner.
Homestar.
But is that what you were gonna bring up?
I was gonna say Atom Films, which was the official site.
AdamFilms.com.
Yeah, and it's still. I think it's still around, but like I mostly watched it for the Star Wars Fan Film Awards, where
man, Atom
Lucasfilm would like choose their favorite fan films, and you could see them all there. And I think that's what got me into like making media in the first place, was just watching all these Star Wars parodies and being like, that seems low budget enough that I could approaching making it in a way that like I couldn't with a big movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's where I first saw the Star Wars gangster rap, and that's where Troops was, and like so many of those early internet things were stored there.
You know when you see
Met
a
the director
McDonald's,
of Troops multiple times now at San
Oh,
Diego
wow.
Comic-Con, and he is so nice, but it's like, it's crazy to think that he was like in his early 20s and just made it. Like, just
Yeah.
him and friends just decided to make this thing that became like legendary.
Yeah. Oh.
so like when you see a McDonald's that has ditched the red and yellow aesthetic and is now gray and sad and depressing, Atom
Yeah.
Films, now Adam.com, is available.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay.
Registered in 1995. We could probably find a web archive link of the page you remember. It's so hard doing that when like all of the stuff has been deleted. You know what I mean? Like the all the background images and stuff that used to make up the website, they don't exist anymore, so the archive doesn't even have them. So you can like kind of get there, but you can't see the site as it was back then.
Yeah, and a bunch of these I think have probably been re-uploaded other places. Like I know Pink 5 got re-uploaded other places, and Troops definitely has. But it was just like Oh, and then like I later learned David Lynch put things up on Atom.com as well.
Wow.
Like it was wild.
So we can go back to 97. Let's check the 97 one, because in my experience, when you click the first link in the archive, it almost never works. Oh, wow. So this was the Nucleus BBS board before largest
ISP?
online service. It's T1. Yeah. Wow.
That's-
T1 in
that would've been
1997.
huge. Yeah.
Let's jump ahead a couple of years. We're gonna head over to nothing.
Because I think I was mostly on it in like the early
we'll find
2000s.
It. We'll find Atom.com.
In that like prequel era was when they really leaned into it that hard.
Speaking of Star Wars and spoofs, did anyone go to StarWarsSpoofs.com
Alright, so let's
where it had
try-
the Flash Star Wars parodies?
that
No,
sounds
but
familiar.
Forrest mentioned the Star Wars gangster rap,
No.
which I still think is pretty damn good. The first one, anyway. The second attempt at
Yeah.
it, I don't think is nearly as good, but the first one's pretty great, actually.
It just still pops into my head sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I'll just be cleaning and then
I'm sure I've seen it, but I can't think of how it goes.
I remember I will literally just be watching the movie, and in my head I'll be like, Luke, use the Force and run. Run to Dagobah. Run to Dagobah.
Use the Force and run. Run to Dagobah. Run to Dagobah.
I'm Yoda. I'm a soldier.
Something. I thought I told you.
Don't be unwise.
Judge me not by my size. You won't believe your eyes once the X-wing rise.
Yeah.
I hope there
They
are
did a
people
perfect job of making Luke
in the
so whiny in his
audience
rap
right now
too.
It's so good.
Luke, why you being
just
a Slayer
freaking out
hater?
about.
Don't you know that I must
my
defeat
feet.
Vader?
This is the version of it I remember.
Not
This is the
ready,
UI.
are you?
When they still had to tell you that they were compatible with IE, Netscape, Real Player, Windows Media Player, QuickTime, and Flash.
There was
Yep.
one other thing that just popped into my head because we're all hip kids from the 2000s. Does anyone remember the emo games?
Yes. Emo game.
Like, you could
Steph
pick-
does. Connor
you could
Oberst was in it.
Yeah, you could play as one of your favorite
Whoa.
singers from like a pop punk or emo band, and you had to fight all of the other bands in like a 16-bit
might have-
roller game.
Oh, cool.
We might have to save that one for Steph, because Steph introduced me to emo game, and
I just remember one level you walk into an argument between the lead singer of Taking Back Sunday and the lead singer of Brand New, and you have to fight both of them.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Steph, if you're listening, I'm sure you're freaking out right now. 'Cause, yeah, emo game. Here's the artwork for it.
My word.
yeah, there was a lot of games like this, a lot of Flash games with this kind of aesthetic. Wow, emo game really brought up
Some memories. Amazing. I've been ignoring the chat. Sorry. But wow, emo game. That's a memory unlocked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Newgrounds is now basically a filth pit. Yeah, I've been back.
I mean,
and,
it was
yeah, it's not a
a lot of the
uh,
games back then also were a little don't hold up super well.
Oh, I was gonna say, listen, if you told me that emo game was gone, I wouldn't be shocked because I remember a few levels and they were not appropriate at all for me to be playing in middle school. Like-
I mean, I think about some of the most popular stuff on the internet back then, and I just think about it and I'm like horrified. I like cringe by like just what was funny back then.
Your brother called it out perfectly. Like, I was also all in on Happy Tree Friends, and now
I
I
had the
think
DVD.
back and I'm like,
I had the
why?
DVD in the garage. Nuts.
The co-host of my horror podcast lives in Connecticut, and there's like a place like a minute from his house where everything is $1. It's like a used book / DVD / CD store. So for my birthday, he'll just send me crap that he bought for $1 at that store in like a big ass box. And my birthday just passed. He sent me a thing that I had never watched, and I put it in, and it was so late 90s, early 2000s cringe, but it was Flash videos called Behind the Music That Sucks, and it would just be these over the top, like 4-minute, like clearly a group of white guys complaining about rap music was obviously the main focus.
Oh my god.
And you're just like, oh god, these guys are saying the N-word without a care in the world right now. Like I'm just like so upset watching it. I'm like, oh no. But I bet in 2000 I would have thought this was the peak of comedy. Like,
Oh yeah, we all did.
I remember Newgrounds had a whole section that was just like the assassin section where you just fought celebrities. Like that was the whole, all of them were just games themed around fighting celebrities.
I would have been sent to another child psychologist if my mom saw me playing.
Caught you on Newgrounds.
It was so weird.
She would be like, "Oh my god!"
Mom, this website's fine. Well, then why is its icon a tank?
Yeah. They're talking about Group X in the chat, and I did a little bit of research on them the other day because I thought of one of their songs and I listened to it and I became weirdly convinced this is not the case. Became weirdly convinced that it was like early Nick Kroll because one of the voices sounds so much like a Nick Kroll voice, like one of the two guys.
Definitely.
I was like, was this secretly Nick Kroll like in his teens, like doing like this weird band with his friend?
I've never heard of this. What is Group X?
They did stupid songs like Bang 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 and Mario Twins and 55. Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Poo Poo Paints.
I know those things.
It was so they put on
just pop into my head randomly the other night. I was like,
every time one of the numbers comes up, Schwan, 2.5, 7, 14, 21, 27, half, 27, 37. What you say?
55.
Yeah, it was. So they put on what I imagine have to be fake accents. There's also that cereal box, which sounds like they're on a radio station because you can hear them laughing in the background for that cereal box. So I have to imagine they were some kind of comedy team. Don't think their accents were legit, but again, nobody knows them, so nobody has any idea. But yeah, they would sing songs in a funny way, and then the Flash community got on it and started animating all their songs.
Got it.
So I think that's where most of the people saw them. It was either through Napster or just Flash animations.
There was a couple of those where it was like no one really knows who they were, but like, because I don't know if Il Mitch was really a Russian rapper, if it was just a white guy doing a Russian accent. You know what I mean? Oh my God, Compressor. Do you remember Compressor?
And
like vitamins are good and K is for compressor.
If they were good in the early 2000s and then they disappeared, like there was no way to find out who they were.
Nope.
Like if you disappeared before Web 2.0, you're a ghost. You can live a completely new life online and nobody will know that you're that person.
That's what's so funny about Neil Cicierega is like learning so many different things that I liked that I thought were by different people were just
all
him.
Yeah, that's who I wanted to be after high school. Like I wanted to be the animator who made music and funny videos online and stuff, and just Neil. That's all. He's like he had the best songs, and then the best Flash animations were Neil Cicierega songs.
And then the best all the mashups, the Smash Mouth.
I love the mashups.
So good.
Did we hit on everybody's favorite internet thing that you would frequent? Missy,
I got one.
You got one? Give it.
I got one still. I am just here to remind all of you, your Neopets are starving.
Yes.
You haven't thought about your Neopets in so long. You need to go to the Giant Omelet, go pull one that probably has green onions in it, and go feed your goddamn Neopets right now. I spent so much time on Neopets growing up, and I have vivid memories of learning adult gambling games, all sorts through Neopets. It was fantastic. I made so much money doing betting and stock market investments and other things that I basically had my own like little cartel that I ran for myself and could get any item I wanted. And it's just because like at a certain point when you just make enough little small bets around with fake money, one of them pays off bigly in a dumb way. So yeah, I loved Neopets growing up just because of all the different games and stuff that you could do.
Oh, man. Even like this, like this button style that they have. I don't know why, but it just screams like early internet, those like first start games. My cousins had all those first start games.
Like looking at that reminds me of, again, like I said before, we didn't really have the internet, but we had so many of these Windows 95 games. I remember like the JTT Pinocchio video game for like Windows.
Oh my god!
But it was those
Jumpstart
click
games,
the buttons games and stuff like that, where you're just like, all right, I guess I'm gonna build this puzzle, and then I move to the next scene in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not internet, but educational games from the 90s would be an entire subject that I could fill a show on.
What a truly horrifying kids movie.
Oh
So
man.
looking at these images.
I only saw that for the How Did This Get Made when they went to Chicago, and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's every once in a while you're like, okay, sometimes there are things that are artistic and they're odd because they're not used to conventions
weird
that we
movie.
have in terms of things. And then there's weird shit like this that's just weird. There's nothing arty about it. It's just weird. Math Blaster, anyone? Math Blaster?
I loved Math
looks
Blaster.
I was just about to say, in school we would do Math Blaster
Math
or like
Blaster.
Number Muncher. I
Math
think that's the
Munchers.
one where you're like a
Number
little
Munchers.
fucking frog eating numbers.
Of course, Oregon Trail. And I mean, it's not internet, but Carmen Sandiego broadly defined who Missi is today. So
I also remember, and I
Mavis
did
Beacon?
discover what this was called, and now I forget it
yeah.
again.
Oh,
But
love Mavis Beacon. Sorry.
Yeah.
At one point in school, this was in middle school, so we're thinking like 1998, 99 for me. We played a weird game where we were a trucker and we were like trucking some stuff across the country, and we had to remember to stop to like put chains on our tires if it was snowing and to get sleep and like to get food. I don't remember what it was teaching us. I don't know what the purpose of the game was. I want to say it was actually for geography class, but
Interesting.
Mavis Beacon. Yeah, Jumpstart. That's the one I was thinking.
Did y'all know that Mavis Beacon isn't a real person?
I
was
didn't know
shocked.
Mavis
She's
was
a- yeah,
a
it's
just-
real
it's a-
human name.
It's
She's
several
a
people.
marketing. It's a marketing.
She's a fictional character.
ploy, yeah.
Mavis Beacon.
They just thought it would
many
sound better with
years.
it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of years trying to figure out what a Mavis was and thinking it might be Maven Beacon and also not understanding what that could be. I still don't know of any real human named Mavis.
Mavis, is it Mavis Staples? Is that not a soul singer?
Mavis Staples is.
Staples?
He's an incredibly respected blues and gospel
Yeah.
singer who was part of the Staples Singers. Their dad, I think, was
Okay.
also a singer too. But they were like on Soul Train and shit. Like they're big.
It feels
God,
like
sorry, I'm caught up looking at all the art.
Oh,
like,
and Mavis
all the
Leno.
way-
Leno's wife, yeah.
The way too
Mavis
busy
Leno?
like start screens that all these games had.
Oh yeah.
That, like, it's so quaint. It's lovely.
I remember Star Wars Behind the Magic, which was just a CD-ROM that had behind the scenes, like it was basically it was basically the StarWars.com databank, but on a CD.
Encarta.
Yeah, it was
It was
the
the
series
Encarta
it
for
was
Star
Encarta for
Wars.
Star Wars,
wow.
and it was all
Encarta.
so, at least in my head, very animated. The transitions between the sections were needlessly over the top and complex. Where like X-wings would fly by and stuff.
I mean, if that wasn't the case, would it be Star Wars?
I had
You
Star
could
Wars
watch
Monopoly.
lost scenes that were cut from the movie, from the original Star Wars on it, and that was the big
Whoa,
appeal.
big draw.
I had the Star Wars Monopoly computer game, which had like clips from it and stuff dropped in. That was amazing. And it was hosted by C3PO.
That CD was probably jam packed with like just like file sizes of audio and video and stuff. They would and heavily optimized, so it looked like garbage. God, this has been incredible. We're already on the final question. I know, Matt, you gotta duck out at some point.
It's all right.
But the last thing that I was going to ask, which we kind of got into a little bit as we've been going through, is there anything on the internet that you believe to be lost? You used to watch it back in the day. It's gone. We have, if this is to be believed, 23 people watching the stream right now. That's 23 fingers that can type into Google. A good opportunity to get a bunch of people looking for something that you believe to be lost.
I started thinking about this one, but I just think most of the stuff I got into came into the internet late enough that all of it's preserved in some way, shape, or form. Or at least it's like archived out there so you know that it existed and it isn't like
you can find a
there's-
description of it and it's like,
Yeah.
I didn't dream this. I can't find the actual video, but this person's talking about exactly what I
but I saved one thing that I did not look up for, but I feel like has to be out there. It's an incredibly early viral video, I feel like. And it was just someone else might remember this, but it was a clip of it's like a blue alien, and it was lip syncing to I Will Survive. And it was starting to like sing and dance, and it just like goes through the camera. It was like early animation, almost like a demo. It was just like a demo, I think, for this person's animation ability, but the clip itself went on there. And the reason why it was a good clip is that it ends with like I will survive, and then a disco ball just falls on them at the very end of the clip.
I definitely remember this.
I think
Yeah, okay, here, yeah. Oh, I guess it wasn't blue, it was green. See, memory changes things. But yeah, so like I said, I knew it could be found out there.
Alien song. 1999 is the date on it. And they never did anything with this guy again? Oh, and then there's the disco ball.
Yep.
I don't know if I shared audio, but also I probably shouldn't stream I Will Survive live on stream.
That is fine.
Yeah, that might be tough.
I mean, I saw a video on there. Someone has an internet history video out there for it. So like I knew that it was probably something that could be traced, but that was one of my earliest memories. It was like I have not actually gone to look that back up, so maybe it is lost. But yeah, that's it. Asked and answered.
I mean, I already said a bunch of mine, but I do see that someone mentioned like live journal accounts. Like I think that there's more personal stuff that I'm bummed is gone. Like when they wiped everybody's MySpace stuff, I was like, I lost so many flyers and like photos that I had stored in there. So yeah, definitely I miss being able to revisit my live journal.
Now you can still get into your MySpace, I think, if you didn't like deactivate it or something, but they did not preserve the old. It's you scroll long ways now, not up and down. You scroll horizontal. But all my pictures are still there. I can still go back and I actually went in and took them all out just in case they go down for good and I won't have them anymore. But I was still able to get it, which is nice.
Oh, someone else called out the MySpace music. Yeah, there are bands that meant something in the days of MySpace that I think their music is just gone forever until those dudes decide to upload it somewhere else.
This is a total aside.
That was a really good animation for the 1999 date.
Yeah, 1990.
I feel like I remember 1999 CGI, and it wasn't great. That was pretty great.
There's a great podcast episode out there on Reply All. This is kind of vaguely related, but it was about a guy who remembered a song from
the case of the
90s.
Missing Hit. It is the greatest. It is the greatest podcast episode in history.
Thank you. It is one of it is up there with like if you think how we talk about Chris Gethard's show and like shows or Cash or Trash, I can't remember the name of the actual episode, is like up there. This is that for podcasting. It's the ups and downs you go on that journey. But yeah, just thinking about trying to find stuff from Lost. The concept is, what if there's a hit you can remember parts of in your head? That's a song that you can formulate, and literally no one else knows it exists. The internet has no trace of it. You can't find anything when you search the lyrics, anything of it. It just does not exist. But in your head, you know it has to be real. It's too real for it not to exist.
Yeah.
That I know for a fact that I'm somebody who has uploaded the only lyrics to a particular song on the internet because I was looking for the lyrics and I just couldn't find them. Like in quotation marks, searching sections of the song and Google finding nothing. So it's always interesting. Like I remember this. If I search even just a little bit of it and find a snippet of it, I know I'm not nuts. I know I have that memory.
There's a book that came out this year that I just read and I've been obsessed with, so I'm going to promote it here because this feels like the most perfect time to mention it, and I feel bad because I can't remember the author's name, but it's a book called Mr. Magic, and it is perfect for everybody in this general demographic.
Kirsten White.
Kirsten, thank you. It is about a 90s kid show called Mr. Magic that everyone remembers, but no one can find any shred of evidence that it existed.
Interesting.
Like Candle Cove.
Yeah, and now 30
remember
years
the
later,
creepypasta about Candle Cove?
Yes, it's but it's like 30 years later, they're bringing the whole cast back together to talk about what happened to the show.
Oh, so it is a real thing. So it's not it's a real thing. Interesting.
It's a real thing, but none of the cast members remember what happened on the show either. Like their brains are
Wow.
equally wiped from like so they're like having to force themselves to recall like what happened when they were on this kids show that no one can find any evidence ever existed.
That's amazing that can happen.
It's
like,
such an
wild.
interesting book. I mean, it's a fictional book, but it's a phenomenal book. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fiction. Oh, I thought this was real.
Oh no,
I was real. I'm sorry.
I thought so too. I thought that this,
sorry,
I thought
should
Mr.
have
Magic was a
clarified.
real show.
Yeah, no, it's a fictional. It's a fictional
Okay,
show. But like it's like a 280-page book. I read all of it on Halloween. Like I just was like
Wow.
putting on movies and just reading this book and could not put it down. So like, as we're talking about lost things on the internet, I was like, this is the prime time to be like, y'all read this book. It's great. Like it's really, really good.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah. What about Forrest and Emily? Anything you've lost that you've never been able to find again?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of things like generic overall, just live journals. People deactivated their live journals, and thus like 4 or 5 years of their documented life is just gone.
So the first website I ever remember visiting, like, and really having fun on and playing with was like the background was all black, and there were like multiple skulls that had like hats or like hair or funny features. Like it was like lighthearted, and there were jokes, and you could like ask it a question. I don't remember if you typed it in or if the idea was just like think of a question and then you clicked it and it like Magic 8-Ball style would give you an answer. It's been lost to me since like 2002, so I don't know that we'll be able to find it. Even as a kid, when the memory was way fresher, I couldn't find it more than that first time. But it was like the thing that made me really get that, like, oh, the internet can be interactive. It's not just like Missi was, like people, like everyone was saying, like it's not just boring things for adults that I don't care about. Like it's fun. There's games here. It's spooky even.
I'm my very brief search for it has not found anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like I know, like I don't think I've ever been to that site, but I feel like I know the whole vibe of it. Like sites were just like that back then. They had weird. It was like animated skulls, right? Not real skulls like this site.
Yeah, it was drawn. It was like I think they were drawn.
Wow.
I don't even think it was animated. I think because that would have taken too much bandwidth.
Yes. Yeah, it was probably just a scrolled website with
It's like a PNG.
basic text
you could, like,
on it.
choose between them.
That's funny. Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff I feel like I have a million memories of sites like that in my head that I'll be scrolling a website one time like, oh, that reminds me of this, and then I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
And like, it kind of lives in there, but it's gone at this point.
That's I feel like there's a lot of that for me too, where it's like I know that I was on a site at one point and any other detail beyond like I said, like the free teen message board, like I can visualize that it looked like a brick wall that you were like typing messages onto, and that is all I remember. And then I remember my friends and I in 7th grade sitting in computer class posting on it. Like that's it. That's all that I everything else is long gone.
I want to get Carl on one time to talk about this. Beyond. Did anybody play Beyond? It was this weird pixelated game, like hub that Carl would play, with like it was like an early kind of like not an MMO, but it was just like he would just play with a bunch of other pixelated people, and it was huge. And then just as soon as it came around, it was gone. Yeah, we're gonna have to find some information about that, Carl, because I think about that a lot, like early multiplayer games like that. There's one I'm thinking of. The Flash animation, Steph and Carl and maybe Throwcox, if he's watching, might remember. It was Balloon Flight. Do you remember Balloon Flight, the Nintendo game?
Yeah.
This was a Flash animation where you would play online with other people, which I don't understand how they did it. Maybe they didn't actually do it. But you would create your balloon guy, and then you would leave, and you would come back, and the balloon guy would be preserved. So you could get like spiky shoes that made you pop the enemy's balloon faster. And I want to say it was on like Newgrounds, but I feel like it was its own site in order to be able to preserve your scores and stuff like that. And I remember looking it up, and I just haven't been able to find anybody talking about it. But that was a pretty interesting Flash game that you could play. It was between that or Inklink, if anybody remembers Inklink. It was a very early online, what do you call it? Pictionary.
Oh, okay.
And then Emily, anything we can try and hunt down for you from your early days on the internet?
There is no way, but there is one fic that I do not remember the title of, and had nothing to do with any fiction that like existed already. This girl just like used the name that she used in French class. She's like, my French name is Vivian, and wrote a whole story about a girl falling in love with a ghost. And you could tell that a kid wrote it. She's like, I don't really know what to do at the end, so I think that the girl just has to kill herself to be with the guy, so they can be ghosts together. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this was written by another child. She had all these notes. She's like, I really don't know how to end this story. Like, but I don't know how they could be together. Because he's already dead, and he's been dead since the beginning of the story.
Vivian can only wonder if she'll ever fit anywhere. She's often abused and put down by the world. She quietly laments on the darkness of her own fate. This is a moving tale about how everyone deserves love, friendship, and a second chance from 2005.
Unlikely. Too late.
Too late?
Also,
okay.
They wrote it under the name Vivian.
Oh, I'm typing
Yeah.
Vivian. Is it Vivia?
It's however you say it in French. There were little things.
Yeah, this looks like Mario. The one I'm reading looks like somehow it's Mario fan fiction.
I love that, but no, could not have
It's
been.
interesting. Yeah, I feel like fan fiction's tough.
Because I remember when Heroes, the show, came out, Steph and I went to fanfiction.net or whatever, and
Yeah.
Steph was like, I want fan fiction about Nathan and Isaac. I want to read fan fiction about them. And there was none because I guess not a lot of people were watching the show. So Steph wrote some and was purposely just over the top with what they were doing in it, and then posted it. And then we're getting people like, you need to update. This is amazing. So I remember she did 2 fanfics that were just over the top /fic between these two. And I remember we would like giggle about it as she was writing it. And I would love to find those again. But I've searched high and low for the past 20 some years or whatever. And
The
have never been
amount
able to
of
find it.
people who I know who have
man.
jokingly written fanfic that people absolutely adored make me wonder how many people have sincerely written fanfic. Like,
I
it's
mean, isn't that the story of Twilight?
yeah, like it's just like
Or
all people doing a bit, and
Oh,
it just like,
No, 50
Shades of
Shades.
Grey.
50 Shades was Twilight. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like,
never got into fanfic as horny of jokes and make all the time. I just have never thought I want 2 fictional characters to smash. It's just not something that I ever like really got into. So when I heard about the Harry Potter one, of course heard about the infamous Radishing one, and I was just like, this is what people do with their time?
yeah.
Like, okay.
There's a podcast that someone just tuned me on to not too recently, called the Potter Ship Podcast, and I thought it was going to be that. I was like, I don't want to listen to this, but it's actually 3 librarians, and they pick 2 characters who have had very minimal interactions, and then like reread the books to try to figure out what relationships they probably had, like friendship wise, in and outside of what we've seen in the pages, based on context clues, where they'll just be like, well, obviously the Malfoys came from like this type of family, and they came from this type of family, so it's reasonable to believe that they grew up together before they went. Like, it's like, oh, this is actually very well researched and interesting, and I appreciate that they don't say the name of who wrote those books, because that person's very much dead to me now as a human being. But it is that's the closest I get to fanfic in my life, is like, yeah, tell me like the behind the scenes history of these characters. Right. I don't need to know how they fuck. Like, that's not something I'm interested in.
Look, we're not here to yuck anyone's yum.
I can imagine how they do
you know,
that.
it's just
I don't need someone else to tell me.
Yeah, I've got an imagination.
Yeah. It's definitely made me say it was not sincere. We did not do it sincerely, but people were calling on her to sincerely like do more.
This detail sends me. She just added there was a lot of trash and then never elaborated on
That's
it.
one specifically. And then I remember we were eating gobstoppers at the time when she was writing it, and so like it was on the phone, like it was like Peter was on the phone with Isaac and said, "What are you up to? What are you wearing right now?" popping a gobstopper into his mouth. Isaac popped a gobstopper into his own mouth and said, "Not much," or something like that. Just incorporated whatever was going on in the house at that time into the thing,
God.
and I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, congratulations, Void.
Hahoo!
Woo! Hell yeah! Thanks from the Void. We'll definitely be on a future episode of this show because, yeah.
I remember that I did read Star Wars fanfic, but I don't remember what any of them were.
I've read one fan fiction. Oh, go ahead.
Of course,
I
LED Light's not watching right now because she's the queen of fan fiction.
I've read one fan fiction, and it was recently within the last couple of years, and it was just one that someone wrote about Greg Davies and Alex Horn from Taskmaster.
Oh.
And
I
how
always said
Greg
that I
makes
just want to
TV
become
shows.
famous enough for someone to write a fanfic about me. Like,
Oh, nice.
like I'm waiting for when there's like one of my podcasts becomes a fanfic. Like,
Yeah, it happens.
I just want to be famous enough to come talk about Dog Eat Dog on a podcast.
well, the time is
Bastard
past.
Al
I'm sorry.
I
We're already
know.
in the 90s
I didn't.
now.
The ascent was too late.
Oh my god, this has been super fun. Listen, I've kept you all longer than I told you I would in the intro, but this has been.
Did you tell us
a
the
lot of
time?
fun.
I just been chatting.
I thought I said about an hour because I don't want to take up anybody's whole day. But yeah,
when
I
the
will
conversation's
definitely
as
be
good
doing
as this.
again.
Why
Yeah.
stop?
Steph used to do this one. Oh, okay, it's the Savage Garden hook up with the dude from Millennium. Yeah, Steph's gonna be real niche. Fanfic. Yeah, I feel like we should do a whole episode on fanfic and have LED Light on that. But yeah. Any final thoughts? Anything you didn't get to bring up that you wanted to before we have to have some structure, otherwise the four of us will just talk all day and ignore all of our responsibilities that we have. But it's too fun. It's too fun to talk about the early internet. It's all I want to talk about.
No.
All right. Well, listen, we've had Missi Information, we've had Matt Kelly, we've had Radio Free Multiverse. Matt, do you want to tell us where we can find you? I know we got your Linktree. It's Linktree/Saint Mort. And I think basically any kind of Saint Mort you search for is going to bring you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a quick spitball of all the stuff I do. Mondays is the Christmas 365 all year round Christmas podcast. Tuesdays is Alyssa Explains It All, hosted by Alyssa Lube of The Circle. Wednesdays is One Hit Thunder, where me and Chris Fafalios from Punchline break down the histories of different one-hit wonders every week. Wednesdays is Horror Movie Night, where me and my two friends watch bad horror movies from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Friday morning is Weird Algorithm with me and Matt Milligan from the band Weedus, talking about our favorite all of Weird Al songs in order of release and ranking them. And then Sunday nights, although currently on hold, is the White People Problems and OC podcast, where I'm watching the OC for the first time with my friend Joe. But his computer died, so we haven't been able to record the last couple weeks. But we will be back as soon as that's up. Geekscape.net is the hub of all of the creative stuff that I do. And just because, hey, y'all are watching a 25-hour live stream, I can do you one less. And on December 8th, we'll be doing a 24-hour live stream to raise money for the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central and Northern New Jersey. It'll be 24 hours of live music, podcasting, games, and sketch comedy.
Is that the thing I did last year?
Yeah, and I was going to say, Eric, if you want to do another one, I am more than happy to have some more Eric Germ sketch comedy playing.
That was you put the fire under me last year when you asked me to start my Christmas special, and that's when I did Christmas Carol Court.
Yes,
that's where the idea for that came from. So,
but check out all that.
Yeah, Linktree/Saint Mort. Did I spell that right? I did. I love switching around A and I's. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you for being here. I can't believe with all that we got you for an hour and a half today. So I very much apprite all of your times.
It's called being irresponsible and quitting your job to podcast full time and then just hoping for the best.
A new subscriber.
Yes.
There we go. Missi, what do we? You're not Radio Free Multiverse. You're Missi Information.
Yeah,
although you do
you
appear
find
on
what?
Radio Free Multiverse.
Tuesday nights, we're doing a Baldur's Gate run. No Baldur's Gate this Tuesday. If you want to play some Jackbox games with the rest of us, we're going to be doing that instead. But we have been conning our way through Faerun, attempting to just to defeat the absolute, the terrible thing. So see that. And then Wednesday nights, we do Mrs. Call with the former randoms. Me and Blocktoven and Phony, who's definitely not Forrest, hosts a show where we do a topic every week.
What a weird thing to say.
It's a thing like this.
I don't understand the correlation.
Not at all. A lot of pop culture talk. This week we are doing actors versus their own characters, in which we're going to talk about scenes where actors or concept or actors are talking to versions of their own characters. Specifically, you want to think of like the Dick Tracy specials with Warren Beatty, where he plays Warren Beatty and also Dick Tracy. Things like that, inspired by a clip of Sylvester Stallone playing Rocky, commenting on a Sylvester Stallone exhibit.
Wow.
So yeah, that's this Wednesday. And then podcasting, you can look up the Missi Information Superhighway. And that's where we have Not a Hatewatch, RedSharts with Emily. And coming up, we're going to be doing a new show called She's an Actress. And we're going to be doing a 9-series filmography of Charlize Theron.
Ooh, is A Million Ways to Die in the West going to be in there?
No, neither one of us
prolific
wanted to watch that one.
One of my favorite tweets is Seth MacFarlane talking to executives, and he's like, I got this movie idea where Charlize Theron just laughs at my jokes for an hour and a half, and they're like, and he's like, did I mention I'm a cowboy? And they're like, okay, fine.
But yeah.
Forrest and Emily, where can we find your work?
You can find us at that.
Radio Free Multiverse.
It never
On Wednesdays.
considered to me to get for you to get a link tree, because you have the most social medias out of anybody who's participated in the variety show. So I am extremely happy to have a single hub to get to hit all your stuff.
Because we're pretty much everywhere, and as we said on Tuesdays at 6 Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, we do a Baldur's Gate playthrough where we're con artists. Wednesday at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, we do missed calls. And then after that, it's Grand Trivia, where I play Fluval, Grand Trivia Master of the Grand Aquarium Empire, an evil multi-dimensional fish. And we do 10 questions around a topic that changes every week. Most recently, it was All Saints Day, so we did 10 questions about various saints. We've done Mountain Dew trivia as well, which was a fun one. And that's every Wednesday at twitch.tv/RadioFreeMultiverse.
Come suffer for our amusement.
I suffer so much.
It's one of my favorite
slings
shows.
and arrows of our outrageous trivia.
Or to sleep. Perchance to dream.
Perchance!
And score no points.
Well, listen, thank you all, everybody, for being here. This went really well. This was exactly what I was hoping it would be, just a bunch of people who appreciate the internet, chatting about the internet. So I'll do it again if you're interested in hopping on. I mean, I'll reach out to people, but let me know if you have something to talk about, because this is a lot of fun, and I'll try to find the time to do it some more.
Donate,
yes, and donate. I'm gonna
Donate, please.
Kick everybody
Give
off the
your
stream
money.
here. I'm gonna switch. I really should stop the stream and
Please,
restart
children.
it, because I'm not gonna be able to clip these out, but I'm probably not gonna. I'm probably just gonna keep the stream going. We're gonna switch probably back to video games.
You can still clip it on Twitch. It's just not on StreamYard.
That's true. Yeah, we can clip it on
And
Twitch.
depending on which version of StreamYard you have, you can actually go and edit and repurpose your clips in there now if you record locally.
Yeah, I do. So yes, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll find a way. But thank you, everybody, and we will switch to a pre-recorded video as I get the the regular stream back in order. And stay tuned, because coming up in a half hour, 30 minutes, it is Deep Space 69. Deep Space 69 live. That is our Star Trek book club, where we have just finished watching all the way through Star Trek Voyager. And we are reviewing the finale. So Voyager spoilers, but it's also a bunch of fun people talking about Star Trek. So that's your boilers. Boilers.
Boilers.
So stay tuned for that. But between then, we're gonna just do some basic stuff, and yeah. So thank you everybody for joining, and
for having
we'll
us.
see you next time on the Stalg.
Welcome.
It really whips the Lana's ass.
You got mail. You got mail. You've got pictures. Goodbye.